Welcome back, beautiful souls, to the Horror Pop Extravaganza.
Kit?
I don't need to remind you all the significant impact should this test succeed. Should your demo crash, use your safe word to abort. Good luck.
Run! Just run!
It's okay to be nervous. This is a big step you're taking.
What is up, all you beautiful souls, man? Welcome back once again to the Horror Pop Manor. You are welcome. We are happy you are here. This is a special episode, dude. A special episode that I'm super excited about. I hope that all of you are excited as well. I've talked about it before, you know, as much as I love horror cinema and everything attached to horror cinema. I love talking to people about the creative process behind, you know, horror cinema and all of that. So I'm Pops Ghostly, if I didn't say it yet. If this is your first time by chance, you know, the number's been going up, so maybe it is, dude. And welcome. We're so happy you're here. And you're here for a super cool episode. So we are joined today by writer, director. There's a little short. It's hard to articulate, so I'm gonna wait until we get into it. But Sam Krebs is here with us today in the Horror Pop Manor. Sam,
What's up, everybody?
thank you.
Thank you for having
Thank
me,
you.
Pops.
Oh, dude, so much. Thank you for being here.
I'm super appreciative of everything you do. I love the pod, man. You're crushing it. Everyone on your team is great.
Oh, thank you. And I will
Yeah.
share that love with all of them because I try to do that all the time, man. Like the team, you and I were talking a little bit before the show, you know, and I watched through when I watched Treadmill, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Treadmill, I looked at the credits, dude, and it always blows my mind, you know, how many people it takes to accomplish something. And we're a very, very small team. And I was like, dude, you guys, you know, and I loved it. I love seeing everything. But before we get too far deep, I'm already wanting to jump into the movie.
Yeah.
If all the beautiful souls listening haven't figured it out yet, I'm excited about this one, dude. It's a fun ride. But Sam, why don't you, I like to know a little bit, man, just a little bit. So what was that piece of art? You know, maybe it wasn't a movie, maybe it was something. What was that piece of something that made you say, I like, you know, the weird and the spooky and, you know, the different, in this case, maybe the surreal, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like, as far as like first initial experience, we consider
Or even a
Jaws
movie.
horror, right?
Yeah.
We
Oh,
consider
dude,
Jaws
100. Yes,
horror.
yes. So Lil
I
Duke
must have saw-
Spooky, my regular co-host, Lil Duke Spooky, that we put Jaws as the 5 out of 5. It's kind of what everything else is. You know, the
Absolutely.
bar for a lot of horror. But please, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there were like three experiences like really young that I had, like viewing experiences that just put horror just way above every other method of storytelling I could possibly comprehend at that age. And the first was Jaws. I forget where I saw it, probably on cable. We taped it,
Right.
but I had that VHS on tape, and I just like I must have been 4, 5, 6, something like
Oh.
that. And I just had it playing over and over and over and over again. Just something about that, and then just that idea. Like, I remember being like, "How does that like happen?" And my dad told me, you know, Steven Spielberg is a director, and I was like, "You can do that? Like, you can just make that happen?" And it just like it astounded me, and it like was very impactful. And obviously, I was terrified. I had that thing where I was like fascinated with sharks for so long, but like terrified of like going in the water. You know, you're like fascinated with what you're terrified by, sort of that
Yeah.
vibe.
Oh, absolutely, man.
The second, which was like in pretty close succession to that one, is was Alien. I saw Alien way too young. I saw Alien. I think my neighbor showed it to me, or he might show me Aliens first, and then I like went back and watched Alien
which
Or I
kind
saw
of are
bits and
two
pieces
different,
of
right? It's
aliens.
like two
Oh
different
yeah.
movies, you know what I mean? Because that first Alien legitimately haunted house in space.
Yes.
Terrifying, dude. Whereas the second
Claustrophobic.
one, right? Whereas the second one, like, we gotta go, man. Like, let's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Space Marines, you know, which they're
Yeah.
both, you know, in my opinion, masterpieces in their own right. But man,
Hmm.
that first one, like you said, the claustrophobic, the dread, where it's just closing in on you. Yeah,
Just that
the
world
opening,
that
the title
Ridley. Oh
sequence,
yeah.
the
I
silence,
love
dude.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where the
yeah.
letters just slowly turn. Oh,
And we're
so
just, we're just tracking through the ship. We're
right.
just dying through the ship. You don't see people for like, you couldn't really do that opening sequence now, I don't think. Like
I
you
think
couldn't.
no, because our attention spans have lowered, and that's not to say it's a bad thing, but also, you know, and it's something that I internally debate with a lot because I struggle with it. But I feel like the length of time that movies have in the theater doesn't exist anymore. You know, Gremlins
Mhm.
was released in the summer and then had a great Christmas wave. They were
Yeah.
smart about it. You know what I mean? They were strategic. But it's because movies did have that run. And now we're in the world
Hmm.
like, hey, we're giving you 45 days. And it's like, dude,
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
whereas, yeah,
Hmm.
and you know, you didn't have when Alien came out, you didn't have cable, you didn't really, maybe Betamax was starting to be a thing. I don't know.
Hmm.
It was a little
Hmm.
bit before my time, but you didn't have that where people were just kind of stuck there, and it was like, I'm going to take
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick's going to walk you, you know, a tracking shot for 15 minutes in A Clockwork Orange
And
and
you're
stuff.
grateful for it, you
Oh,
know? Like
so
it's like
grateful.
now it's kind of like it's really hard to grab people's attention, but I feel like that method of storytelling was so much different because like people wanted to be there sitting there and have those empty
Right.
moments. And
And that's where
um
I'm hoping. You know, I just went and saw took my daughters, which I'm not going to spoil or anything for anybody, but we went and saw Mario. So I have an
okay.
almost 20-year-old and then I have a 7-year-old. So two marriages, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
so
yeah.
excited, but it
That's
was
awesome.
awesome to be in a movie theater full of people, even though a lot of them were young, you know. Yoshi
Hmm.
shows up on screen and people are like, "Yay!" And I miss the experience of a horror movie, you know, theater full of people that you can almost feel the
Hmm.
collective where we all hold our
Oh
breath at
yeah.
once and like shit's scary, dude. And yeah, there's
Thousand
something
percent, dude.
magical.
1000%. Um the one, I mean, we talked about Romero. I can get to that.
Yeah,
Romero was a big
yeah.
one too,
Oh,
but the last one I think is a good segue. Is I think I was in fifth or sixth grade. I'm aging myself now when the trailers for the Blair Witch Project came on TV.
yeah.
And my dad, he's a smart guy, but there were adults in my life that thought this was like a real thing. Like there
Dude,
were adults that
I
were
mean,
seeing this
yes.
and thought it was like a real. I remember my dad like freaking out, like
I mean,
locking doors and
dude, they
stuff.
the greatest marketing campaign on the planet, like one
Yeah.
of the best outside of, you know, Cannibal Holocaust. I get
Hmm.
it. The credit is being the
Hmm.
OG is the first kind of
Of
found footage
course.
and playing with that. But so I was, you know, dating myself as well. I think I was in 10th grade in 99 when the Blair Witch came out.
Hmm.
And I grew up in the woods, dude. Like,
Me too. Me too.
yeah,
Hmm.
so half mile two track that goes back into 10 acres that my family's had for like 30 some odd years now. But we got bussed into the city. Like I went to a more inner city high school. So I was bringing all my friends out there, dude. Let's go walk with a flashlight, cut that shit
Yeah.
off and run. You know what I mean? Yeah. But
I
it was
love that, man.
genius, dude. And it's still, I think it gets better as it ages.
Yeah,
I go back and
I
I
agree.
do it and I'm like, dude,
I
so
might be the
good.
minority. It might be top 10 for me. I know there's like probably younger people in your audience that might not view it as might not have that. It might not have as much of an impact. I
Right.
think nowadays as like a fresh view. I think there's other things in that realm that are like way more scary, for lack of a better word. Not as
But
atmospheric,
see,
not so much.
I think that's what makes it so good is it is we don't ever get the scary, you know? It's like
No,
this,
yeah.
and the scary is so real. You know, you're a
Hmm.
writer, you're a director. We've talked about it on the podcast. We did a Shining episode
Oh, no
recently. Like,
way.
how far do you push your talent, you know, or your crew before it
Oh,
becomes?
yeah.
But a lot of times in the Blair Witch, you know, they just didn't know. It was like somebody's going to come up and shake the shit out of your tent in the middle of the night, and they
Oh,
had no
yeah,
idea it
dude.
was coming. And so those reactions are so visceral. It's just like,
Yeah.
dude.
I think I saw they did like a reunion within the last like 5 years or so. And I think I remember them one of the most memorable stories from the union at like it was a Q&A was like their audition for blanking on the actress's name, the lead.
Heather
And
Donahue.
Heather,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're
And
welcome, dude.
she they said her part of her audition was just a screaming, just her screams.
Right.
So the other dudes were like in the hallway and they just heard like her screaming at the top of her
Which
lungs
can you
in
imagine?
this room in like downtown New York in the village
Right.
somewhere, just like
Oh,
her screaming her head off. But like when you watch the end of that movie, dude, like the third, I mean, we'll get to Treadmill in a minute, but that like
yes.
that
Yes.
third
Oh,
act of
let's
that
talk, dude. If
movie.
you're okay with talking,
No,
I would
no,
love
please,
to
I
hear
have all the
everything
time in
you
the
want to
world.
say because after watching Treadmill, I was excited to ask you questions about, your inspirations and stuff because spoiler alert, I love the shit out of this thing. Okay, I put it out
Thank
there,
you,
all you
man.
beautiful souls. But
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
so please continue. Yeah, I think I watched that same
Well,
panel. Maybe were they all
yeah,
on
you
stage
probably,
together in a
yeah.
kind of a half
It might have been
circle?
a Jersey. I know
I
they did
think
one
you're right.
recently in Jersey. Because I think I saw he's actually the one dude, Mike, I think his name is. He's a teacher. He teaches theater in Jersey now,
Sick, dude.
which I
Good for
love.
Mike. Yeah, dude. Right on, Mike.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, I was fascinated by like the lore, not just with the movie itself, but like the how they made that and how Sanchez and them were able to like get that thing in the can. It's fascinating to me.
And no,
Um,
you know what I mean? And this is a time when, indie film was still, I think, in some ways, and I think it's a double-edged sword. I feel like
mhm,
YouTube and a lot of independent platforms have given people like Treadmill and you, Sam, a voice and a platform to distribute. But at the same time, when the doors open, everybody can come in. I don't want
mhm.
to say the swamp. That's a terrible word. But
Sure, yeah.
the rich pool of content that is glistening and it's sparkly and it's beautiful. There's so
Mhm.
much right now.
There's so much, and there's a lot that's
Oh,
really
good,
good.
dude. Like a
Um,
ton of really good. Like I got to interview Gil Bronco. He did this movie called A Halloween Feast.
I saw your episode. Yeah, yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
yes,
I need to see the
and I'm
book,
waiting
but
on it to
yeah.
come in the mail. They said it shipped, but there was this he a double Blu-ray with Hayride to Hell that's got Bill Moseley and Kane Hodder in it, and I'm like, dude, but his movie is really dope, and I really enjoyed it, but I'm like, it comes and goes so fast. It's like fuck, how
Yeah,
do people. We had
yeah.
the same couple VHSs or DVDs or Blu-rays that you watched over and over and over again,
Hmm.
but now the access is just wide open, and it's
Yeah.
tough, man, sometimes.
Yeah, and it's a great time too, I think, for young people. I mean, there's a huge conversation about AI and the future of storytelling, but I think for young
Yes.
people that really want to write and direct and have a story to tell, it's never been cheaper to get your thing made. Technology has never been.
Dude, your
I'm a
phone,
camera
like,
assistant.
I mean, your telephone, you could do it almost all.
Yeah.
Like, I have
Oh,
sat down
dude.
and edited like 15 tracks on a video where I'm just adding
Oh,
shit,
yeah.
playing with shit, and I'm like, dude, it's all here. Like everything I
Yeah.
need, and I prefer my big, interface and stuff and my multi-monitors. But
Sure,
at the same
sure.
time, I'm like, you realistically, and they've proven it with stuff like Tangerine. They had the
Hmm.
adapters and the lenses and all that. That does
Sure.
make a difference.
But in
But you
principle,
by
yeah.
principle, yeah. Like you said, the technology is all here, and a lot of the times they're giving it to you for free. They're like, "Hey, here's
Yeah.
I love DaVinci Resolve is what I edit on. I
Hmm.
paid for the full whatever, but after years of
Hmm.
Premiere and playing with I'm like, dude, this is insane. Like
It's a
the
free
world we
program, yeah.
so you're
Yeah.
right. But I think to your point, and we'll talk about that when we get to Treadmill, but to your point is I feel like we're going to hit this world. I'd say give it another like 5 years, maybe even 10 years, where people are going to be searching for the tangible again, the
Hmm.
special effects of Rob Bottin, and these Stan
Hmm.
Winstons of the world, the Tom Savinis and all
Hmm.
these guys. But I think what
Love
will
it, dude.
never change, and I think what you guys did so well with Treadmill and what will never change is that in our hearts as a human, big, long story of human beings, we're storytellers. And
Hmm.
people want to hear a good story. You know,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a creepy one by the campfire or it's a love story, you know, on a stage, whatever, they want to hear a good
Mm-hmm.
story that has humanity. And I think, I don't know how you pulled it off in Treadmill, dude. I'm like, you know what I mean? There was so much where I was just like, you know, it reminded me of
Well,
watching, like In the Woods, you know, Sam Raimi, that first, I think it's
mm,
called In the Woods
oh
or
yeah.
something like that. Going
Mm-hmm.
back and watching Mike Flanagan's first short for Oculus, that was just dope, dude. Like, you know, or James
Mm-hmm.
Wan's Saw thing that he did was super cool. But yeah, man,
Right, right.
right. And you guys just and the thing is you're so polished. Like, if you don't mind me asking, what was the budget behind it? If that's an okay question to ask.
Yeah, so we crowdfunded our budget. Actually, that's a whole other story. But yeah, we crowdfunded $30,000
Cheers to the
to
crowd,
make
dude.
this,
Everybody who
and
contributed. Cheers, dude.
absolutely a
Yes,
thousand
cheers.
percent. This thing would not be possible without every single person that contributed to it. And yeah, and also I want to say I had a lot of help, a lot of great collaborators that I just met over the years. So my background is I worked as a camera assistant in New York for the last 12, 15 years. So I was
Yeah,
sort of
dude.
meeting people that I wanted to work with that for this, like I was so lucky that I was able to like have some really, really great collaborators and some really great department heads that would like just jump in and like help the thing get made.
And
So I
you could
really
see
owe
it.
a lot
Yeah,
to
you could.
the
It
people that
just
contributed to
polished.
it. And
Yeah.
yeah.
It is polished. And that's kind of what Gil was saying, you know, when I talked to him as well, is everybody around was like, we want to see this thing succeed. You know, it's
Mhm.
the George Romero story you mentioned a little bit, you know. It's everybody wanting to see Night of the Living Dead actually happen, or Toby Hooper, even all those guys were suffering in the heat and the smell and that. It was like, we believe in Texas Chainsaw and say, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and all of that
Yeah.
fun stuff. So 12 years, dang. So any cool, like, you know, any stories from being a camera assistant or anything? Anything cool from time
Man,
on the streets you want to share? Anybody fun?
I mean, a lot of different stuff. I wish I had better stories to share. It's a lot of like branded content,
Oh, dude, that's what my sister-in-law does
television
for a
stuff,
living, and
doc
it's
stuff.
amazing. Yeah, but that's cool
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
We you know, I'm a tattoo artist, and sometimes I'll hear artists say like, "Oh, I only get to do like a file. It's just some words today. I just get to do some words." And I'm like, "It's cool every time, dude. Like, don't
Right.
diminish, you know, branded content or documentary type stuff. Like, it's awesome that to
Right.
talk to people who are living, you know, essentially sounds like you get to live. You know, you're that little boy who was like, "How they make Jaws, Dad?" You know, gets to
Exactly.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Yeah, no,
Inspiring.
absolutely. I'm really I love what I do. I love working on sets. I love working with crew. I just love every part about it. Even if it's like a toothpaste commercial, which I've done, like it's I
Yeah,
just love that environment so much. Because it really is like the most collaborative place like
right.
I can think of culturally in this day and age. Like it's just great. It's great to see all these people that are like really good at what they do, like working on one
And you
thing, you
can
know what I
make
mean?
it the best damn toothpaste commercial anybody's ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, you can
Yeah, yeah,
always
yeah.
show up. So
Yeah.
where did the idea and for anybody listening, if you want to see it before we really start talking about Treadmill, go into the show notes. There's a link right there. It's 15 minutes. It's not asking you, you know, it's not a Kira Kurosawa. It's not asking you for 4 hours of your time. It is, but I highly encourage you before
It's
we start
definitely not
talking about it.
Kurosawa.
Oh hell no, dude! Why he's the goat in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, take the time, check it out real quick, dude, before we start talking about it, and then jump back in because I want to get into the deets of this. All right, Sam.
Yeah.
So the origin, the seed, where did the idea for Treadmill, you know, I guess give me the genesis of Treadmill.
Yeah. So Treadmill, the first idea for Treadmill came about when during COVID, 2020, during lockdown. We're all stuck in our apartments. We're all honestly, a lot of us I think we're looking for help. We're looking for someone to talk to or um just, we're just reaching out to each other, but we all needed to seek professional help in some way or another, or a lot of us did. And that journey, it sort of introduced me into the telehealth industry, which is at that stage is not really what it's like now, in terms of uh, just all these. I think there's a lot of great tools out there now in that space, but at the time it was like a lot of like pay to prescribe sites, like chat bots. It was like a really weird place.
Dude, I was a
And
pharmaceutical sales rep during COVID.
oh my God, man. So you got stories. Like I said, you got to write like 4 books, dude. You got stories.
But go ahead, please. But anyways, yes, that shit
No,
was
so you know what
fucking
I'm talking
great.
about.
Yes, it was. It was.
Yeah.
That's why I left the corporate spheres, because I couldn't take seeing people hurt so much anymore, and people reduced to numbers and like a
Yeah.
quantitative metrics and all this shit. And I was just like, dude, no, like what is happening? And yeah,
Hmm.
like
And
for-profit medicine is the worst construct. For-profit medicine in prisons, in my opinion, worst constructs
that
on the
for-profit
fucking planet.
medicine coupled with the tech industry,
Right.
what I saw, and I've unfortunately done a lot of research into this firsthand, is like care becomes broken down into metrics, and it becomes very it's just it's a really tough place to be when the goal is profit. The
Right.
goal is not to help. The goal is it's not to
It's
help as much. And
right. It's quantitative, not
yeah,
qualitative. And I was
right,
talking to,
exactly.
and we're sorry, we're not going to digress too much, beautiful souls, I promise, but this stuff
Hmm.
is important. I was watching doctors that I really cared about, dude, like good physicians, and
Hmm.
we are storytellers, we are also healers that go back thousands, and I think some people just have that. They want to help, and I
Hmm.
love that those people are in this world, dude, hospice, NICU,
Absolutely,
those things that,
absolutely.
but regular providers, and they would essentially be forced into this position where they would have to be bought out by, in our state it's my Michigan, Spectrum, McLaren, Anthem, whatever these huge corporations are. And as soon as they come in, they say, okay, now you have to see 20 patients a day, you have to prioritize generic medication, you have to do this. And 15 minutes. I worked in the type 2 diabetes sphere, and then weight loss and
Mm,
COPD, so a couple different places. But that's an hour conversation. You know what I mean? Just
right.
for one disease state. And you talk about the mental health comorbidities that everybody was
Hmm.
experiencing at once. And it's like, well, if you don't ding this, or if you don't hit these metrics, now we're going to ding you and take your money. And it was a nightmare,
Right.
dude. It almost broke my soul. Ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
is honestly, it's heartbreaking. And when you're talking about mental health as well, I think any of these specialists that you're talking about that work in mental health or in any medical field will agree with you in saying that um, there's such a high demand right now. There's never been a higher demand. Like
Right.
the infrastructure, the medical infrastructure right now cannot serve like a quarter of the demand right now
Right.
for mental health. So again, bringing it back, like Treadmill is like, what would the next step be with these kind of like new um I don't know, new advances in artificial intelligence? Like what would be the next step to accommodate this huge demand for care? And that's kind of where this came about. I was like, well, first of all, that kind of creeped me out, just like,
Right.
therapizing with a um an AI. But then it like
And I
sort of
love the
the
I
idea of
love the
I
look,
kind
dude, like the pixel kind of like it reminded me
oh
of
yeah.
playing, the first generation PlayStation. I'm like, it almost looks like Laura
Yeah.
Croft a little bit, and it's got this I loved this, and we are living, it's weird to think that we are living in a revolution right now. There
Yeah,
have been
a
these
1,000%.
revolutionary eras of time, the Renaissance, and the Industrial Revolution, and all this stuff. And we are in the age of technology that is
Mhm.
growing at a rate that is insane. But I love that this version that you gave us on the screen was almost elementary. It was this baby new. This is a new
Yeah, right, right.
technology, right? And we are still living that kind of new technology. And who knows? It could have just been budgetary constraints. I have no idea. But at the same
No, I
time,
mean, it's
for me, it worked super well. Like I liked that. I was like, it's this infantile, and whoever the doctor was, dude, fucking hats off. Like if I could take my hat without
Oh,
taking my,
Lawrence.
yeah, crushed it. I would watch this guy read a pack of toothpaste. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm
He's
here for
great.
all that.
He's Lawrence is the best. Shout out Lawrence.
Shout
Lawrence
out
Oliver Chair,
Lawrence.
everybody.
Yes,
You ever
yes.
watch Law and Order? He's a judge on Law and Order. He's
Shut
great.
up, really? Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah,
put the
yeah,
still
yeah.
up, dude, or I'm gonna find me a clip and it's gonna be on the
Yeah.
video when we're talking about it
He's
for sure.
awesome.
But
Also, Lawrence, I love you. He suffered some health things last year. He's doing great now. He's in rehab
yeah.
right now.
Well,
So
you know what though?
thoughts.
You know what though? That
Yeah.
is what the horror pop extravaganza is all about. It is where the macabre meets the mindful, and so we are here
Hmm.
to share that love, dude. Whether it be loving kindness meditations, whether it be something. But Lawrence, when we say we hope the best for you, dude, we genuinely mean it, my man. And you showed
Oh,
up in this
absolutely.
movie, dude. It was so good. So
He's
yeah,
so great. He really you know, he carries a lot in the film. He's kind of our tour guide in a way.
right.
And that was a hard part to cast too. And he just kind of shone through. He just has that voice, man. He's like, he's great.
So did you do a
Um,
full casting? Like how did the cast and crew and
yeah.
everybody kind of come together?
So, one of my, uh, the executive producer on the film, Ben Myers, he's actually a working actor here in New York. He's another, you should have him on. He's got some sci-fi stuff that's really cool
Oh, I
that
would
he's
love
made,
that, dude.
some
Yeah,
shorts
connect
and some
us.
web series and stuff.
That's what
But
we're
he,
here for, man. To talk to the creators, celebrate horror, but to also celebrate you guys because and I feel like I keep getting sidetracked, but one of the hardest things for me in watching this world where there's so much content is I understand what it takes to make something that's even 15 minutes long that is as good as what you guys accomplished,
mhm.
dude. And then to
Oh,
even
that
get
means a
a
lot.
feature made takes, you're expanding that, you're
Mhm,
amplifying that, but everything that's involved times 10 or 20. And
mhm.
so I want to celebrate that. And the work that went in, I see the work, dude. And I hope you don't like we see the work here where yes, kudos, kudos.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, man. And again, like what you guys do, what what you do, like to support creatives kind of in this space is like huge, dude. Like giving other people a platform with like indies and stuff like that is like monumental.
I might take
Um,
that as a testimonial right there. I'm gonna take that and use it as promotion,
yeah,
dude, because that was
please
beautifully
go
said.
for
That
it.
was so elegant. Okay, so the casting,
um,
sorry, yeah.
so
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 so how did
Ben
everybody get
Ben
together? Yeah.
Ben doubled as our casting director because he's really in that world and he knows. Basically, we went through
I always
I think it
dreamed
was
of being an
Actors
actor.
Access.
Go ahead.
um No, but he kinda like we just did it all through, like, nowadays you can do it through, like, Actors Access or, I think Backstage is another one,
So where people can
but
like put
there's
headshots
great
and stuff
resources
like
for.
that, and okay,
Mhm,
gotcha. Yeah.
and you can post your project and, some sides and stuff, and then you kind of filter through the pages, and then if you like someone, they can, send you actually like a pre-tape of them doing your lines, and you can kind of whittle
That's
it down and
cool,
refine there,
dude.
so I
Yeah.
didn't know much about that, to be honest,
Yeah, that's
beforehand,
cool
but
though. I like
yeah,
it. Like you said,
yeah,
technology, man. As much as it's going to be our overlords in Skynet, we're going to need Arnold to hopefully stay alive long
exactly.
enough to save us.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
yeah,
really good coming, from living in the technological age, and the fact that you can do stuff like
yeah,
that, it expands your web of like potential. I'm sure of potential clients and things like that, or hopefuls to get the woman who played Morgan, I
right,
really like too at the end. Like, I want to know a whole story
and
about this.
Catherine.
Yeah, she crushed. And I
Yeah, yeah,
apologize for
that was
not
I
knowing
mean,
everybody's names off the top of my head.
no, no,
Yeah,
I'm
but
just shouting them out,
yeah. That's what I was
so
hoping
yeah,
too.
but it's just a little bit about the film, like for those who haven't seen it. So the entire thing, or 80% of the thing, is shot in the first person, basically through the perspective of our protagonist Morgan, who's played by Anne Catherine Mills. And I bring that up because when we were casting her, we were like, okay, this isn't just not just, but this is not just this come in and follow direction and deliver your lines and do a couple takes. This is you are the camera operator as well. Like that was she wore like the helmet rig. Like I have
Right, right.
behind the scenes footage of her, suiting up, and that took us a lot of time to figure out how to do that in a way that was like safe for her and manageable for her,
Not too heavy,
and
I
to
would
also
think, you know what I mean? Yeah, because a lot of operators, you know, I mean, your vest
Mhm.
full of things and gimbal
Oh
attachments
yeah,
and
easy rigs and stuff. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah, it's
But I really want, like, when we were doing pre-prep for this, I really, you know, the conversation came up of like, can we just have an operator kind of double for her?
gotcha.
And to be honest, like, my thought was no. I really wanted the reactions, like I want it to be um as human like as possible. Like I want her, like when her head turns, if she hears something, she's looking for someone, like I want us to be like literally sitting in her head. So that was really the only way I could see it happening. And I'm really glad we did that, and she killed it in that,
Oh,
in
dude,
every respect, but
it
especially in that
translated.
respect. So we
Yeah.
knew there was the physical demand that came with it.
Yeah, she
But yeah.
translated even the
So
stuff in the you know, in the mirror. Like I was watching the, you know, I'm always watching the room and stuff like that. And
mhm.
you know, I used the word surreal at the beginning of the podcast because as this unfolds, it becomes more and more surreal, in my opinion, which for me was working awesome. I'm on my third playthrough of Resident Evil 9. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so,
The OG one.
oh, dude, this also gave me a couple of vibes. We did a review of VHS Halloween, came out I think last year, you know,
Okay.
and the VHS anthology. I love anthology horror, but there were some
Mhm,
segments in there where it just worked so good, dude. And I see
mhm.
the, correct me if I'm wrong, influence, you know, kind of this creepy pasta type horror, which it sounds like your age, you would have kind of, I don't know, but would have grown up around those elements, you know, the
For sure.
Slender Mans and all those stuff. And I'm telling you,
Right.
by the time this thing ended, I was ready to get out, and I loved that. It takes a lot to get under my skin. You know, it takes a lot to get under my skin. Only because I feel like I've seen so
Mhm.
much of it. You know, it doesn't mean I don't
Right.
enjoy certain things. Like I just
But I think
watched
we're all
Scream.
like that too.
Yeah, yeah. You
We
know,
we all have a really high threshold, I think, in terms of like what
especially
off puts us or
in the
disturbs
internet
us.
age. I mean, I was in the
Oh,
I mean,
dude.
dude, I was like 96. I remember a friend saying, "Hey, watch this." And I'm not even going to mention it here what it was, but it's something that was seared into my brain and I'll never unsee it again. You know, and we have access to stuff
Yep,
like that now.
yep, yep.
So to be, you know, truly scary, it's tough.
Mhm,
And I think there's a humanity in Treadmill though. So I wrote a couple papers in college on the relationship in horror
mhm,
and real world trauma that's happening, like wars and things like that. And historically, if you look at
mhm.
it, you know, when you go to the black and white era, World War II era, you had Dracula and you had Van Helsing. It was clear the uniforms, who was this, who was that. You get to the 70s and it's the Texas Chainsaw. You don't know who, the guerrilla warfare that would kind of come out.
Yeah,
In some ways, I think you can make an argument that horror is a representation of what's going on in the world, and I think yours, like that
very much so.
humanity, speaks through really well, dude. Like you were asking this question, you know, like where does this go, and how do we, you know, the question stemmed from something very real, and I think that translates through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's the world we live in right now is very disorienting. It's very all over the place. And when you started disorienting me, kudos on the editing, the camera, you know what I mean? Good shit, dude. Good shit. Because you disoriented
Um,
me really well, like going from hallway to hallway. And I'm like, we'll get to, you know what? No, I'm just gonna say it right now. The
yeah,
scariest
yeah,
thing in
go
this
for
whole
it.
thing, dude. The scariest thing in this whole thing that got me more than anything was the sound of the dog's hands or feet
Mm,
or whatever on the linoleum or
mhm.
tile or something. The idea of that noise coming at me, yeah, super unsettling. Super unsettling.
Dude, I love this. This is like my favorite thing is like getting, like hearing people's reactions. The best is like sitting in a theater, dude, and like, 'cause we did the festival run like last fall, and like the best thing
Sick,
was like
dude.
sitting in a
Yes.
theater and seeing people like experience it. Because like I've seen the thing so many times, you lose
Right, right, right,
perspective.
right,
Like you
right.
lose
Yeah.
perspective on like what is this scary? Like what is like you just lose. perspective
Well, and
and
you know
to
every
see
single
people actually
ingredient
reacting
in
is
the soup. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's rare that you get to actually serve it and then to a whole audience, which is so dope, dude. I'm glad you guys got to do, and I hope I am
Oh, it's the
encouraging
best.
everybody to check this thing out. And I hope it sees, you know what I mean, continued. But that flap, 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 flap noise was just, oh, man, it was so gross.
I
Uh,
love that, man.
but it is it seems like a very small taste of is it a bigger idea? I mean, do you have an expanded, kind of, because I see all kinds of shit and I'm just like, dude, I hope, please, Sam,
Yeah.
can we ask, please, can we have some more? Thank you,
I
sir. I liked it. Can I
yeah.
have another? Yeah.
Kevin Bacon with the paddle.
Right, right, right.
That's an old reference.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, we're actually working on a feature which we're very excited about. A lot of the same people that helped make the short, we're developing it. We have a script. Um, but really, yeah, it's a broader idea stemming from the same
Yeah,
sort
of
of
course, of
origin
course.
point,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, of course. Because I think
Um,
you gave the perfect taste, man. Like I said, I want to see more of. It was Lawrence, you said, popping up in
yeah,
the HUD,
Lawrence Oliver
and then
Cherry.
we see him at the end, kind of sitting watching these. I love the kind of analog monitors, these old school looking,
Hmm.
stuff like that, enjoying his thing. And then we're seeing Morgan. He's just like, all right, clean up the mess, dude. It's time to, what's this bigger organ? What are we trying to accomplish here? What's this? And let me
Right.
tell you just really quick, in that VHS Halloween, that's what it was. The through story, they were trying to create a soda that was called like Poltergeist, and they couldn't figure out how to get it right, and it kept exploding. But it was this big nefarious organization, And I want to know more about like what's the
Yeah.
development, and it sounds like you got something going on. But is there anything you can, and anything at all you can tease us with? Just a little taste and say, hey, here's the menu for next time. Here's the or something
I
like
don't
that.
know.
But
I'm
that's
really,
okay,
really
dude. If you
reluctant to
can't,
say, but
yeah,
like,
yeah. If you can't, that's okay. That
I
makes it
wish I
even more
could. I
fucking
wish I could
exciting.
share it with the world.
Yeah. No, that makes it
But
more
yeah, I mean,
exciting.
it's definitely dealing with those kind of what you're talking about, the themes of like this like sort of moral ambiguity with like again what we were talking about with telehealth and for profit healthcare. It's
Yeah.
just it a lot of people go into that space with the idea of like I want to help, but it becomes this sort of like utilitarian thing where it's like at any cost, right? Like it's like so kind of the sort of twist at the end of this short is it I can't say too much, but it
No,
does
that's
kind of
okay,
deal
dude.
more
Yes,
with like
but again, I
the
encourage everybody, dude, watch
corporate
the thing. It's on YouTube. Throw a comment on there, share it with somebody. Like, those horror people
please.
that we are currently here at the Manor. I know we talked about it before, but we're in the process of getting the website and everything developed. So we will have a platform where we can direct you. It's exactly right here, and you can go and check it out and do all that stuff. But it will be in the show notes of this one. So yes, because that's awesome, dude. That's so exciting, Sam, to hear that you
I'm
guys
so
are.
glad you loved it, man.
Yeah,
It really
I
means
mean,
a
how's
lot.
the
And
response been? It's hard to get your stuff out there, but it sounds like you were in a theater full of people. Have you been getting pretty good across the board?
yeah, I mean, yeah, it was very rewarding to see and hear people's reactions to it. I mean, it's why you do it, right? It's kind of
Right,
like
right.
just
Yeah.
you want people to have that experience. It's kind of fucked up because like as a horror storyteller, you're like, I want to make people
I want to
uneasy. Like I
scare the
want to
shit out of people.
make
Right.
but at the same time, it's like the best. It's like, yeah, just people coming up to you and being like, "Dude, I never seen anything like that," and it just means a lot, and yeah, it's just the best thing in the world.
Right on, man.
Uh,
Yeah, and I
yeah, but thank you
encourage.
so much.
Oh, dude, 100%. And you know, the there's so many more questions, but I want to tell everybody else, just go watch it. I want to say that right now. Watch the thing,
Yeah,
share the
just go
thing.
watch it. Just
Right,
pause this.
dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. It's hard. It's hard not to. So you talked about some of the, your cast and crew.
Mm.
Is there anybody else you want to, kind of shout out? Is there any social media plugs, dude? This is your
Oh
time. If
yeah,
there's anything, yeah, where can
yeah,
where can all
absolutely.
the beautiful souls follow the journey? Because I'm telling you, you
Um,
guys, I feel like this one's going somewhere, and this is a cool place to be. Like right now, see it. I feel like I feel awesome being right here. But yeah,
Thank you so
where
much,
can
Pops.
everybody journey along with us?
So I would say TikTok and Instagram at treadmill.mov. So TREADMILL.mov.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
can spell, I think.
Yes, yes. Follow along, check all the things out. Keep your ears. So is this where, as stuff gets announced, I'm hoping where this will be the announcements and things like that will be on
Yeah,
TikTok. Okay, cool. Talking
for
about the
sure,
future and
for
stuff
sure.
like that. Sam, I don't know how to say thank you enough, dude. This was incredible.
Dude, are you kidding
This
me?
was,
Thank you for
yes,
having me this and
yeah,
making time for this and supporting myself and other artists in the space. And it really is really cool to witness people taking time out of their day. Like you're a one man. I mean, I know you have a team and your social media people are great,
right.
but
There's a few of us,
you,
dude. But we are a
yeah.
handful, and I feel very fortunate where I'm at. And this kind of segues right into we're going to take a moment to pause for the living. Um, it's so important to have the people around you. But I this is actually not even a pause for the living for this week, but I feel like it makes total sense. Um, so I spent a lot of my life, and this is what I want to encourage everybody who listens. You know what I mean? I spent a lot of my life somehow functioning as an alcoholic. Somehow, dude, I don't know, like making six figures, company car, you know what I mean? All the things, but
Mhm,
somehow I'm drinking. By the time I stopped drinking, and actually in 10 days, I don't know. I really don't keep, but I know it was my grandmother's birthday the day I quit drinking. It'll be 7 years
mhm.
this year though, which has been awesome.
Oh, dude,
Uh,
congratulations, dude.
Thanks,
That's
dude.
huge.
Yeah, thanks, man. Um, but I did a podcast for about 5 years. I actually had a couple of podcasts. I had the Horror Pop Extravaganza, which was a ton of fun, and we drank our way through a lot of that shit. And then I had a good buddy in Germany. We did a short run show of 100 episode called the International House of Horrors, which was a ton of fun. Um, but everything in life, you kind of mentioned you're like a one man army. No, I think you just have to take the opportunity that's in front of you, no matter what it is, and just close your mouth, open your eyes, and open your ears. Will get you so far in life. It'll get you so far in life. You know what I mean? To do those couple of things, but to also never be afraid to take that big jump. And that's a lot to ask because I know how scary change is, you guys. I know how scary change is. I am with you, but I promise you it's possible. It's possible because sometimes we get stuck in shit shows. You know what I mean, of life, and I hate to say it, but I see people around me who I love and who I care for. But the idea of change is scarier than the situation you're in. It's like we all have dreams. I like to think we all have dreams. We all have something. Some little Sam watching Jaws on VHS over and over again, like, hey, Chief.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I still have
Yeah,
I have a
absolutely.
place on the inside of my thigh where I'm gonna get a color portrait of Robert Shaw with some
Oh, I
barrels
love that,
floating
dude.
behind him, kind of looking up at my junk that says, you're gonna need a bigger boat. Because in the seven chambers of tattoo in life, the seventh one is don't take any of it too seriously, man. But you talk about one of the
Absolutely,
greatest
man.
performances of all time.
Oh,
But
truly.
so where was I kind of going with that stuff? Needless to say, everything kind of has led here, and wherever you're at right now, as scary as that change might seem, man, look for those little ways that, and the change might seem insurmountable. That's where I think we get stuck in, and we live in a world of instant gratification, where it's like we want instant results, but it's
Mhm,
like, oh, I want to lose 300 pounds, I gotta lose it or I'm gonna die. Like, I got diabetes, I got all this shit. You don't gotta lose
mhm,
300 pounds, you just gotta take one step. You just got to take
mhm,
one step towards change, and you're going to fail. And it's okay. Fail forward, fall forward. And as long as you fall forward, when you get back up, you're a little bit further ahead. than where you were to begin with. But you, dude, like I love talking to you because you're a great example of just, had this thing that you wanted to go after and went after it and now, are still doing it. And it's, I'm looking around, you got a nice bike up there. You seem to like bass guitar, who doesn't love a good doom, 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 doom. We can talk about this
Absolutely.
Claypool all day, dude. Claypool's one of my favorite. I could talk music all day, but either way. But I feel like you're a great example.
Oysterhead. Oh.
Yeah, right. You're a great example of, I don't want to say the big change stuff, but of pursuing stuff and continually, you said, I picked up on things where you said, I worked for 12 years, doing this. I'm sure you always had the vision of, I would like to make a movie. I want to make a big movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you've been slowly moving towards that, but that's what it takes. And people don't see that behind the scenes. And we rarely get to hear, I took all the jobs I could because sometimes that is absolutely what it takes. You have to take every job you can because you never know. The job might be a toothpaste commercial, but you might meet somebody you click with so good. And it's like, dude. And then they show up, 2 years later holding a mic for you. And then 4 years later, they're a great sound person. And you never know. You know what I mean? But I love hearing that behind the scenes stuff, dude. And I hope that inspires, everybody else as well. I like to put the little big change thing in there only because it just kind of rolled right into it. You talk about being the one man army, but it's like the passion, man. It was always there. I remember asking my grandmother at, I must have been 9 or 10. She had this old video camera, full VHS fit inside that shit, and you closed it up. And I was doing in-camera editing, like having my brother walk up the stairs from one direction, pausing it, and then getting close to his feet and undoing it and stuff like that.
Yeah, dude.
So for me, it's, you say you're a one-man army, but it's just what I've been passionate about since I was a little kid. And I encourage everybody listening, if you lost that passion, man, think about it a little bit, sit with it a little bit, and it might present itself different. The universe is kind of fucking crazy like that. You know what I mean? You think you're going to do one thing and then...
It truly is.
Right. But the more you just kind of go with the flow and be like, hey, I remember that thing I was excited about. I don't know. I guess that's where I'm going with it. Find that something that excites you. It could be cooking, it could be cleaning, it could be organizing, it could be writing a book. It doesn't have to be something monumental, but just find that, remember that thing. If we all acted more like kids, the world would be a much cooler place.
1000%, dude. Beautifully said. I mean, yeah. And
anything
you
want to
talked
add?
a little bit of, I mean, I think you stated it so eloquently. I would just say, like, you talked a little bit about seizing opportunity, and I think, life is short, and this is a crazy time that we're living in. And I think the more that people see the absurdity of just reality, there's some good things that can come from that. It's I don't know. It's just it's a weird time, and everyone's navigating a different way, and just we're all on this marble racing through space. It's all absurd, man.
It is.
Just do what you do, whatever.
That's it, man. At the end of the day, don't be
Yeah,
afraid to chase it. You know what I mean? We will be back next week. Let's see. I can't remember. I think it's me and Lil Duke Spooky are up for Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which I'm super fucking stoked to talk about. Yeah.
Awesome.
And it would be some dude if you were ever. I'm just putting it out there right now, so all the beautiful souls know too. If
Dude.
you ever even wanted to come on and just talk about a horror movie, you know what I mean, and just dissect and talk about some stuff as a fan,
Do not threaten me with a good time, dude.
All right, dude. All right. Until next week, you guys, stay beautiful. Random acts of kindness, like, subscribe, all those things, and we'll talk to you next week.